Hey Maya, how you doing? Welcome. I'm working on a leg. I'm gonna build one of these. I actually got two other ones I made too outside of this, so I'm working on this because I'm building a. So we're good to go. We're good to go. Okay, so I gotta take my old one out first. Hello. Okay, I'm gonna explain from start before I start this what I'm doing. Um, all right, in order for me to make the idea of the game. Okay, first off, this is three pieces of red oak flooring. I cut them to size. They're about 30 inches long. Okay, so the idea is here, and this is my template, my prototype, is to make this one look like this at some point. Okay. Um, Now, couple of things to note. Okay, so couple of things that happened with these when I first glued it is that there's a little bit of a gap here. You can see that this is lower than these two. Well, that's because when I glued it, I clamped it this way and it moved. When I needed to clamp two clamps here and two clamps this way to keep it from moving, I would have been good. But that's a minor detail, just so you know. Okay, that's fine. The other thing is, when you're doing small pieces like this, you want to be able to cut the corners off, but without taking a lot off, especially when I'm doing this, because I want a little bit of a reveal, but yet have a flat surface here too at the same time for this, at the top part. So that's one of those things you got to. So what I'll do is I'll turn this a little bit, and I'll just slowly work down. Now, when you're doing a leg, you're trying to repeat something. The idea is, now I have been off the lathe for a little while, so I have to kind of get back into it. So it's a little bit slower than what I normally would do. Um, this one I think I've got it on. What do I got it on? 650 RPM. And normally I turn at 1,000. So it just makes things a little bit easier. So that's what I want. I'm trying to see if I can get that done. Now, a couple crucial things I got to show you. One is, because this is oak and because I'm going to go across the grain or against the grain and not with the grain, you're going to have these little dimples. This is a grain right here. You guys can't see it, I can. So the idea is some of these spots might, like in here, you can see there's grain marks. It's the rough edges of the grain sticking out. So the idea is when you get this to a certain point, you never want to try and take too much off because that'll make you want to do that. And this is just my experience. Is you just want to stop at a certain point and then take and sand this. When you rough finish it, you know you're going to take off about a 16th of an inch. So when you get down to that point like this, when you go to finish sanding this thing, you want to go with the grain to feather this out a little bit. Now, you're going to ever get rid of it? No. But the idea is to show you guys this, and this is just learning by experience. Normally, when you, in machines, this is another thing. There are a lot of people out there buying furniture. You can buy wood legs and oak legs at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, Ace, whatever, And I think they're like 25 bucks a leg. And so that you don't have to go over this whole thing yourself. And it is time consuming. So but you're making it yourself. So if that makes, you know, you want to save money, all the rest of them are manufactured when they have a CNC router or something. You put it through a machine, and you don't get half the effect here, half the issues that you might when you're doing it by yourself. And then it's the type of wood too. So that's the research into this. But anyway, I'm going to start. First, I want to round this a little bit off here. Now, this is thinner here, just by a smidge than this. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Once you get down to this point, you want to back this up a little bit. And I use a couple of different tools. Some people might like, some people won't. If you're a traditionalist, I'm sorry, you can throw the tradition crap out of my window because I don't believe in that. I just do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to round this as best I can out, this part, and then I'm going to mark that at the end. And I'll be using a carbide tip CI5, you know. Well, I think I'm going to use my other one instead because I think that's uneven. Now, see what I was telling you, how it's tearing a little bit? Some of my tools are a little bit off. I'm going to try my new one. I don't know if I can do that with this one. Now, the idea for me, there's a flat spot here, which I'm taking down a little bit, flat spot here, and this one's kind of rounded, but that's because of the way this is set up, which is not a big deal, but I'm going to take this down a little bit, and get it down to where it's flat enough. And then what I usually use is a pair of calipers that'll measure. And then if this is gonna be a little bit flatter when I'm throwing it, because I'm gonna have to take and I'll probably use a belt sander on it a little bit. So it's just one of those things. I should have made these two shorter. I don't know. Now this is evidently a little bit lower here. Like you go a little bit further. Okay, so now this is where I gotta go get my calipers. Hmm. So that's where I got to make the groove. So now I got to round the top off too, but that's where I make my groove. So I copy the other one. Okay, so now what do you do here? Right? Like I said, this one has to be smaller than this by about a 16th or two. But what I usually do is I take and put a gouge in this. Now what I'll do is I'll take one of my parting tools for that. Now, see how there's a little offset, right? See, so you. So I just dig it down far enough to where I can work on it, later on. So now this is where the fun part begins. Trying to layer this thing out. Now, as you can see, there's a flat spot here and a flat spot here. So the rest of it's turned pretty much where I want it. So this part will be fine once I get this down. I could burn this up a little bit, but the thickness is about right. I'll have to go over a little bit more. This is where you fine tune it, making your own leg. Now, there's a lot of machines you can put on here to do it, but because I don't have that, this is my way of doing it. Now it does take a little bit of time. I usually stop and move down a little bit. Now it's from about this point to about here. You work this to here comfortably because you're on here. I don't want to go beyond the tool fence. And it kind of from here to here it's got to be tapered. So it's okay if it's a little bit more off in the center here down to that. But when you get to the bottom here, that the other point is trying to keep it within a certain dimension. Again, it goes back to where your experience with it. Well, my friend there, Gerald, there's the expert woodworker there, the Appalachian Heritage Wood Shop. You can check out his site, guys. He's got a great bunch of woodworking stuff on there. He does a great job. Good supporter of mine. Thanks. And back at you there, Gerald. So, today I was at an art show, and I came across a couple woodworker guys that I hadn't seen in a while. But next weekend, next Friday starts a symposium, Chicago Woodturners Symposium, the north suburbs, and I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll take a bunch of pictures and try and maybe I'll do a live broadcast there. I don't know. I have to see how things work. So this will be my second time doing a symposium with guys. I have to see out what the schedule is and see what would be worth, taping. I did that once in the spring this year, so that we'll see how that works. But anyway, I'm gonna finish this a little bit. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Now it does. See, this is rough. Some of my tools are rough too, by the way. So yeah, I had to change the heads, but. I'm not worried about that right now because what happens is I get down, like I said, you're going across the oak grain, and this thing is nasty when it comes to trying to pull out stuff like this. So that's why I'm not exerting too much pressure, and it takes me a little bit longer to do it. I'm gonna try something here, see what happens. think that's about all I'm going to do for today because I got to get my tools sharp. There. That knocks down a lot of the bad stuff. I can do that here too, but I'm taking it on that one. Now I've got to figure out a way I can do tapered legs on the table saw where I can just take more of these off. I think I might be able to do it now, but it's kind of dangerous because you got this end smaller, so you're going to be wiggling it. So not a good idea. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful evening. I'll try and let you guys know what I'm doing next. Resin bowls. I'm going to do resin bowls. God help me. Anyway, God bless. Oh, by the way, if you're not making sawdust, you're not being creative, so get with the program.